Good day, Michael Veres here with special guests in our Zoom session with two very enthusiastic real estate agents from New Jersey. We have Galina and we have Marina. From what real estate?
Signature Realty. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you? Pleasure to have you here. Hi. I noticed you guys on Instagram, you're very, you make real estate fun, let's put it this way. Not only do you showcase your properties, you also show the local hotspots, the sightseeing. So and you do it in a fun, imaginative way, and I really liked it. So that's why I invited you to my show on Zoom. And let's educate our listeners on buying real estate in New Jersey. New Jersey right now is red hot. A lot of people are moving from New York to New Jersey. I know both of you also are from New York, correct?
Brooklyn, yes.
From Brooklyn, you're both from Brooklyn?
Both from Brooklyn,
yeah.
So you went through the whole process.
Yes.
You had to go, when, 4 years ago?
Yes, so we know exactly how overwhelming it is. We know the first initial, where do we even move in New Jersey? New Jersey is a big state.
Sure.
We know why people move. I moved because my oldest daughter was applying for middle school. She was doing the gifted and talented test, and I needed a plan B because, you know, a plan C was not an option. So as a
Especially
plan B,
now. Yeah. You know, in New York, they make it out gifted and talented.
absolutely. So even though she got into the school of her choice, by then I just fell in love with New Jersey. I fell in love with neighborhoods and the communities, and we decided to move regardless. And very happy here. My one regret is that we didn't do it earlier, because I feel like my older kids missed out on the life in the suburbs, which is essentially, you know, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, weekends at the field, and it's a very different life out here.
And Galina, what made you move to New Jersey?
So the funny thing is, I actually used to do a reverse commute. So I used to work in New Jersey, but lived in Brooklyn. So for many years, or maybe about 2 years, I was commuting back and forth. So I would drive through the bridges and get to Jersey. And we started looking for property here around 5 years ago. It took a really long time to nail down the town. And that's what we try to do for our clients, is really try to evaluate what's important to them and where they want to live based on their needs first, and then go explore the towns. You know, I worked in Secaucus, so my commute was pretty far. And then, so I started looking at towns nearby. So I looked at Montclair, and that really wasn't for us. And a lot of New Yorkers want to move to Montclair, but it's not for everyone. And then I started going down and down and down, and ended up here in Westfield because I just fell in love with this town. And the funny thing is, my kids were taking German classes every Saturday, and they actually drive down here every Saturday from Brooklyn to take these German classes, and we ended up being in the same area. The important things to me, and why I ended up in Westfield, was I have 2 boys. They're wild. They need
space.
They need space, and it can't be a gated park. You know, they need space to roam around. I want them riding their bicycles. I want them to feel safe riding their bicycles.
Exactly, yeah.
I didn't want to be the mom who has to drive my kid everywhere. So for me, sidewalks was important. Walkability was important. So I put all those things into consideration when looking for my town. But also,
I'm definitely not going to knock New York now. Definitely New York is recovering, but still not the same as New Jersey. Not the same amount of safety, security, and space, especially for families.
And it's really the quality of life here that brought us here, is just the easiness of everything. And, you know, Marina and I both moved to Westfield because we were like, we need to be on a train line. Our kids are not going to be connected to us always, and they need to have the freedom to roam around. They need to have the freedom to get on the train, go to the city, go explore, live their life. And that was important to us. Again, our clients go everywhere, and we go everywhere with them. For some people, that may not be important. So we take all of those things into consideration when looking.
So Marina, so when both of you were looking for homes in New Jersey, you had to go through the whole state basically, right? Because you didn't know exactly to which area you want to be in.
Not the whole
you're
state.
familiar.
Right, you narrow down based on your needs. So you figure out, for me, education was utmost importance, right? I didn't need to move into a town where I would still have to deal with the schools. I don't want to ever think about applying for a school. I want my kid to go to a zone school with all his neighbors, and I never have to test anybody. Like, that was a lot of pressure as a parent, you know, because your kids are different. Just because one child gets into a program doesn't mean the next one will. So education was number one, safety, but also community, like just having neighbors, having events. I needed a town with a downtown where there's things happening, because I am a high energy person. I grew up in Brooklyn. I space, but I need things to happen, right? I can't just have 3 acres and wave to my neighbor once every 5 weeks.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to be in a retirement community. You still want things to happen.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Definitely. You're far from it. Far from it.
A bit.
Yeah. Marina, so somebody who's a first-time buyer in New Jersey, how would you be able to hold his or her hand in this process of finding a home? Perfect home for them.
So the first part is, how do you even buy a house, right? Like, where do you start? Is my income enough? Am I making enough money? What's my budget? People have lots of questions before they even start to pick a town. And often they don't think about calling a real estate agent. They'll often go on Facebook and start asking questions. But we highly recommend make a phone call to us, because we have a team of people that we work with, and we can recommend lender, an attorney, whoever you need along the process, we can recommend for you.
And it's very important to have somebody local who knows the local rules and regulations pertaining to real estate, because New York closings are different from New Jersey closings.
100%. Also, you know, incomes are different for everybody. A lot of people in our demographic, in our community, are self-employed. There's different rules than having a W-2. You know, some people don't even know what the down payment that, you know, people think you need 20% to buy a house. That's not necessarily the truth, right? Like, there's options. People have options. And in reality, you can probably get a house for the amount of money you're spending on rent in Brooklyn. I mean, the rents are not cheap, right?
No, not at all. In New Jersey, no, especially South Brooklyn, definitely not.
Right.
And yeah, you can pay a mortgage for the same amount or maybe even less.
Right.
Just to chime in too. So one of the things that is important to understand is that people who move to New Jersey have to also understand that there is a tax involved here.
Right.
So when we talk to first-time home buyers, it's
the property tax.
Yeah, so we have to figure out your monthly payments along with the taxes. Sometimes the taxes, it depends on which town, could be high, sometimes they're low. So you may be able to afford a bigger house because your taxes are lower, or you may have to settle for a house because your taxes are higher. So that's something that we also take in consideration. A lot of times I'll have a client, they'll be like, oh, I went into the open house and I really like the house. I want to put in an offer. And I'm like, let me walk the house with you first. Because I may notice something as a specialist that you will not notice as a home buyer. So
yeah, because you've seen it all.
We've seen
it all,
stuff. Yeah. So, you know, you might not notice, like Marina has a background in construction. So she
that's perfect.
Yeah. So she may notice things.
I didn't know that. Okay. That's
I have a design background. I could help you reinvent the space. So
you're a perfect team.
We are.
I like that. Yeah.
We complement each other. She's technical, I'm more creative, and we definitely complement each other when it comes to things. But I think, like, considering those things as a first-time home buyer, you're not just looking at a home like, oh, it looks great, let me just buy it. You have to think about other things, and that's where we hold your hand in the initial process.
Yeah, it's very important, because sometimes you walk into a house, you just see the box, you don't know what's going to look like, how you can adapt it to your needs. But you, with your backgrounds, you can pinpoint the client in the right direction and open up his or her imagination.
Well, there's also this concept, right? Like, the buyer, the agent is not costing the buyer anything. Our commission is paid by the seller, but we solely represent the buyer if that's who our client is, 100%. And there is a reason why they need an agent, because New Jersey is a different state, right? When we have oil tanks in the ground, you don't necessarily have an attorney that will represent the seller. Because
there are nuances in New Jersey that we don't have in New York.
Different details that as a buyer, you want to have someone to protect you that has been through it. It's the most expensive asset that most people will purchase in their lifetime. This is not the time to start, you know, cutting corners, saving pennies, because you will be losing a lot more.
Of course. So, Galina, besides education, what other needs should a client be looking for to accommodate when searching for a particular town or city in New Jersey? What else goes into their consideration?
It's funny, everyone's very different. So I have clients who call me and they're like, I really want a Russian community. I want to stay with my roots. I want to stay in a Russian community. And we find them those towns that are Russian heavy. And then there's also people who are like, I want to make sure that I'm walking distance to a synagogue, or I want to make sure that there is a synagogue in the town, because there could be towns that are not very Jewish populated. Everyone has different needs.
Sure.
Commute is the number one thing that we hear, because commuting will come back. I know that everybody's kind of relaxed now and everybody's moving further and further away from the city. But we are going to get back to normal, and people are going to get back into the city. And we already see that coming. I think December is going to be the big influx of people going back into the office. So commute is a number one. After school, it's really the commute is the second question.
What about nightlife, let's say restaurants, places to go out? Does that play a role as well?
So I think it's funny, people do ask about that somewhat. I would say you're probably going to stick with the places that you love and you're used to visiting, whether
and then you'll drive to your
and then
dining
some of your local spots.
option.
Yeah. So I don't think I don't know about like parents and nightlife being so important. A lot of people who are moving to New Jersey are usually either parents or someone who's about to become a parent.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know about nightlife, but we do have obviously Hoboken and Jersey City, and there's great restaurants all over Central Jersey. I don't think we lack in that, but I don't think that's like the number one.
Okay, got it. Marina, yeah.
If that is something that is important to someone, which it was to me,
Of course.
then you find a town that has, it's not necessarily a party scene, right? But you have some sort of a life to it.
Right, some kind of pleasant atmosphere. You can go out. There is, of course, there's ample parking everywhere. This is not New York.
Listen,
Diverse kitchens.
All the time. The moment
cuisines.
I start complaining about parking, kick me, because it's like having to walk half a block is not having to walk 12 blocks with a box from the post office.
Sure.
It's different.
I have friends who don't know how to parallel park because they grew up in New Jersey. And
Of course, they don't have to. Yeah.
And when they watch me parallel park, they're like,
"Wow, you're a pro."
Yeah.
And there are, there's so many different communities. Like people usually know Manalapan and Marlboro Fairlawn. Like that's the top three,
Yeah.
right?
So Marina, that was my next question. What are some of the most popular towns? Where do you see the most influx, the most movement of people from Brooklyn to New Jersey?
So for a while, it was Manalapan and Marlboro Fairlawn. I think because of such a limited supply on the market of homes, and people still needing to move out of Brooklyn or New York in general for different reasons, people have been spreading out and exploring other neighborhoods. So we tend to recommend, if that's not touchable to you, there are other towns that are not as heavily Russian, but still have a Russian population, still have a store, still have the doctors, the daycare. When I actually moved to New Jersey 4 years ago, I moved with my 84-year-old grandmother. That was a tremendous pressure on me because not only did I pick a school for my kids, I had to make sure that she was taken care of. And I was very lucky because Springfield is not a very well-known town in New Jersey, but has a great Russian community, has the sade dla babushki, the sade dla ribonka. It has
So everybody's occupied. Babushka is occupied, the kids are occupied. And you're free to roam around.
Absolutely, right?
The party girl.
The party, and I get my party scene. So there's different, and then there's there's a large Ukrainian population in New Jersey. People don't know that also. There's so many different communities, and there's options. So I don't like to box people in or ask them. We ask to ask them questions. What are your needs? Right, and then we'll work from there because we don't want to limit you to anything. It's a beautiful state. There's so many different towns with amazing people in it. Just move.
Okay, very good. Galina,
So a lot of people are also this area, Summit, Westfield, like where we are, and like what we call Central Jersey, but it's really more North Jersey. There is an influx of now kind of more younger Russians who were either born here or a little bit more Americanized.
That's
That
good.
don't necessarily need a Russian daycare, don't necessarily need, they want to be in a more of American community.
Mhm.
We are seeing an influx of
Yeah.
Russian people coming into these like more Americanized communities.
Of course, Russia's becoming more and more Americanized. But I still see the trend is that even second and third generation Russians, they want to stick kind of together. Same values, traditions, same cuisine and so on.
They do, like, don't get me wrong, we have
Right.
our crew here, it's, you
Yeah.
know, it's very consistent, like, there,
Mhm.
we definitely have a strong presence, and we find each other too, like, we didn't know anyone when we moved to Westfield, and we have made a lot of friends.
That's
But,
what community is important, no matter
yes,
where. Community is very important. Yeah.
when you move, right? But the funny thing is, once you're the first person to move out of your friends, and people see that you're okay, you made it, your kids are still
Right.
okay, everybody
Right.
moves.
You're a
We-
trendsetter.
Absolutely. So we moved 4 years ago. Since then, like, our family have moved, tons of our friends have moved. It just makes sense.
See, that's exactly my next point I want to touch upon. That you're in the front lines. You probably see that the prices are going up. Am I right?
Yes, I mean, in the
I mean,
past,
that's what I hear.
yes. So obviously prices have gone up in the past
Okay.
year.
So having said that, you know, there is a concept, FOMO, fear of missing out,
Right.
right? So should people right now, you know, lock in and buy properties in New Jersey before prices go even higher, or is it better to wait a little bit? What do you recommend based on the trends that you're seeing?
So I think based on what we're seeing, interest rates are going to go up. As interest rates go up, prices will stabilize, but that doesn't mean that they're going to go down. In these towns that a lot of people want to live in, that have the great school system, that have the commute, the easy commute, the walkability, all the things, right? If you're number 5, you hit all the check marks. Those houses are never going down. They're only going up.
Right.
So Westfield, Milburn, Summit, Homedale, like
Mhm.
all these towns, Ridgewood, we are at a height of the market, you could say, but they're not going down. So you're not gonna find a good deal 2 years from now just because you wait. The only thing you can actually miss out on is the interest rate being as low
Exactly.
as-
Yes, exactly. I see the rates.
If you look
I think they are
number-
climbing up a little bit.
Yeah,
rates.
and
What do
if
you
you look
see?
at the numbers, you know, Marina and I, we run this during our first time homebuyers workshop. We have a lender with us during the workshop, and what she talks about is buying now versus buying a year from now, even if it's a 1% different, even if it's like 1.5, that is a huge difference in
Yeah.
your purchase
Sure.
power.
Absolutely.
So yes, fear of missing out. The earlier you get in, the better. There's
Right.
never going to be a crash in real estate like we saw like what we saw in the past was very different. People have a lot of equity in their homes now. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly. And the
before.
banks are not taking the same amount of risks. You
They're
don't
not.
see any more of these zero down payment mortgages.
They're
So
not.
I'm not an expert, but I don't see the crash that we had. You're absolutely right.
The crash is not coming. And even if prices stabilize, and even if they come down just a little bit in some towns, they're not going to come down in the towns that most people want to live in, because the interest in the town will remain, right? So the influx of people will remain. And the inventory will continue being, no one wants to move out, right? So the inventory will be either created, people have to build, or
Well, no one wants to move out until their kids are done with the education system, and then everyone moves to Florida. Like,
Right.
yes.
that's
Or,
right.
or we've actually seen people move north too. So
Okay, so maybe in some years we're gonna have the same interview, but also in Miami. How about
Yeah.
that?
When we're discussing the 55.
But then it's gonna be in person. Then I'm coming. And I'm coming to New Jersey too.
Miami.
And I'm coming to New Jersey as well. Okay, now let me give you this platform to sum it up. This is it. This is your chance to shine. Marina and Galina, in few sentences, why make the big move from New York to New Jersey? Just to sum it up.
I mean, you never have to pump your gas again, ever. Like,
That's a good
sign me
point.
up.
That's
I
a good
haven't
point.
touched
Yeah.
the nozzle in years, and I never want to go back. That's one.
But you still got a tip. You should still tip.
Uh,
you should still tip. Give it a tip for the.
We always tip. We're still New Yorkers. Our license plates have changed, but we're still New Yorkers. Our heart, we're always tipping. But you know, we did have a choice between Long Island and New Jersey. We moved to New Jersey because we have.
I'll tell you why I moved.
Oh, it sounds like a big secret. Okay, let's see.
Oh, it's not a secret.
The big reveal. Okay.
You're about to find out how crazy I am because after
Okay.
and having to evacuate twice into Irene and then Sandy, I'm like, if I'm in Long Island, how many ways out of the island do I have? I want to be at mainland. Like, so that was it for me. I'm sure other people have more reasonable reasons.
Well, we do have 4 bridges and 2 tunnels to get you out of Jersey versus just a few highways. So there is multiple ways out. There's also a
That's
way.
an interesting way of looking at things. Okay, you're prepared.
You know, we live.
You're a disaster ready.
Well, yeah, we lived through Sandy. We both live by the ocean. We all both got hurt during Sandy.
Sure.
We've been there. We know, we have a little bit of PTSD from that.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
with that said,
same here.
right. So, and same for a lot of people. But with that said, Jersey really has everything. You want mountains, we have mountains. You want big state parks and ride your bicycle through crazy things, we got that. You want the beach, we have the beach.
Yeah, and if you go to the city, Manhattan is like you said, just 2 tunnels away.
45 minutes.
But we also have a lot of towns that have beautiful downtowns where you have restaurants, you have bars, you have lounges, you have things for kids to do. You have a little bit of fun. It's not just, one of the things that was important to us, like Marina said, was the downtown area. We didn't want our kids hanging out in like shopping areas,
Neighbor's basement.
or neighbor's basement, of
Right.
course. We wanted to have a place for them to go, and I felt like New Jersey had that for us. There's multiple towns that have really fun downtown areas for kids and adults,
And for babushkas.
and for babushkas.
And for babushkas. But I guess just to sum it up, we do find joy in helping families move out of New York to New Jersey. We do love helping first-time home buyers as much as possible. And we host Zoom information meetings. So people
Okay.
can go into our website and register, where we'll be just kind of a presentation together with a lender where we hit the topmost questions asked by
Oh, that's
first-time
great. So they don't have to actually come. At first, they can get acquainted through Zoom.
100%.
That's perfect.
You know,
So is
anyone-
that going to be on your website? The
Yeah.
information? Okay, because actually, we're going to post the information about the website and your phone numbers on the bottom of the screen, so people can take the advantage of getting that information without leaving the comfort of their home.
And we speak Russian and English.
And a little bit of Spanish.
Докажите. Давайте послушаем.
Очень хорошо говорим и на английском,
Галина,
и на
Марина, я
русском.
знаю, ты разговариваешь.
Да.
Галина.
Habla español. No, я говорю по-русски, но не так уж хорошо.
Достаточно.
We also
Отлично.
have a Facebook group where it's called New York to New Jersey,
Helping you move.
right? So we'll
Okay.
link that to you as well.
Okay, perfect.
You go on and ask us questions like what we discussed today all the time. What's my commute like? What are the
Yeah,
schools
listen,
like?
but you know what? The best thing is to actually come out. So people just call you, make an
Yeah.
appointment, and you're going to be not only their agent, but also their tour guide. You don't mind giving them a little tour
And
of New Jersey?
Really good friend.
And
A
honestly,
free tour, and a what? And a friend, you said.
and a friend, yeah. So
That's nice.
often, even after the closing, we stay.
You're not going to forget them after closing?
No, we don't forget them. We usually drink with them, but we do always offer support. I had a client move into a house. We had a lot of rain, power went out. What should I do? Who should I call?
Right. Yeah.
And they're always able to call us, and we're always there for them, and whatever we could find and help them in any way we can. We
Yeah, it's
do.
very important. Yeah, because you're like a stranger in a new land, like a new immigrant almost. So you do need that
You have
support
no
system.
friends in the town you move into, and you're
Sure.
like, кому мне позвонить? Что мне
Да,
делать?
да,
So
very important.
It definitely helps. It
We want to
definitely
be your real estate friend.
Excellent. Okay, on that note, Galina, Marina, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Michael.
hope you'll be able to help out our viewers, our listeners, and we're gonna have more sessions with you about the particulars of New Jersey buying. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you. It was
Take
nice
care.
meeting you. Bye.
Likewise. Bye bye. Bye bye.